This woman, after eating 4 bowls of donuts, suddenly felt the urge to use the bathroom urgently, but no matter where she knocks, the place is already occupied. It was as if all the passengers on the plane decided to poop at the same time. After struggling for a while, the woman finally finds a space to let it out. At that moment, a group of terrorists on board planned to hijack the plane. Their operation was immediately initiated to the other members. But because this guy could not understand Chinese, he was frustrated. Then the male crew member overheard their plans and quickly ran to report to the leader. However, the operation had already begun. The male attendant was first to be knocked out, then the crew leader was held captive to force the captain to open the pilot room. At this point, everyone went into a frenzy. Then one of the hijackers declared they were in charge from then on. All communication with the station was disabled by their leader. The hijackers were divided into groups. Some people were in charge of holding the passengers hostage, some were responsible for evacuating the rest of the passengers in business class, and others were tasked with ensuring no one escaped, while their leader held the captain at gunpoint. On this side, this woman was completely unaware of what was happening on the flight. She accidentally made some noise, which blew up her perfect hideout. Then the man forced her to come out, but the women thought the other was unreasonably being rude. When the woman comes out, the man tries to knock her. But this woman swiftly avoids every attack, and then with a few moves, she knocks the man unconscious. Seeing the other not responding, she scolded herself for acting impulsively, not knowing what to do with him. The woman's name is Miang. She lives a quiet and simple life with her husband and daughter. She sells donuts on the local market to support their needs. Although they are happy having each other, the family hope to go on a family trip one day. So the husband, Suk-hwan, who is a computer repairman, often spent his money on soft drinks, which ran promotions hoping to win one of their prizes. On the contrary, Mi-young is always careful with her money. She buys less to save big, so whenever there's a cheap price, she runs to buy that. On Suk-hwan's side, he decided to use his experience in computers by printing a prize on one of the drink's lids. When Mi-young comes to see him, he would give her the drink he had carefully prepared, making her believe they had finally won a prize from those companies. The prize they won was a family trip to Hawaii, which made Mi-young think that their wishes had finally come true. At this moment, the customer next to them quickly opened his own drink that Suk-hwan gave to him and looked disappointed that there was no prize for him. That afternoon, Mi-young, being the economist she is, shocked her husband that they would no longer go to Hawaii. Her reason is that they could use the week to make a lot of sales because they still have things to worry about, like the broken washer. It does not matter what Suk-hwan would say, Mi-young had made up her mind. Right then, their young daughter, Nari, came from her Berlitz class looking dejected. It turned out she had beaten up her classmate, so when her mother saw the message, she immediately went to scold her. Nari said he was the one who started it first, so she taught him a lesson. Nari had always wanted to take a taekwondo class, but Nari is already strong, so her mother sent her to a Berlin class because Mi-young feared that she might break somebody's bone. Then Nari cried her heart out, saying she is the only child who has no phone and has not flown on a plane before in her class. That evening, Suk-hwan stayed up late to fix the washer. Perhaps it would make Mi-young change her mind. However, the machine refused to respond, but who could have thought that this dejected daughter would make Mi-young rethink her decision? When Suk-hwan heard that their trip would come on, he was so excited and carelessly hit the washer, which caused it to suddenly start to work, surprising them. Right the next day, the family quickly went to obtain their passports and prepare for the trip. On this side, a North Korean agent receives a request to capture Magnolia, a top-secret agent who disappeared 10 years ago. They know she will be on the plane to Hawaii, yet are not sure which passenger she is. The operation includes 9 additional men because Magnolia is not an easy target. On the other side, Mi-young and her family are ready for the airport. Suk-hwan wanted to take a cab to get there in time, however, Ms. Economist insisted they take the shuttle to the airport. As a result, they were late at the checkpoint and were the last people to board the plane, so the husband was separated from the wife and daughter. A moment after the plane took off, Mi-young suddenly needed to use the washroom after finishing 4 bowls of donuts. In the business class, there was a wealthy woman who forced the in-law to Hawaii because she wanted her unborn grandchild to gain American citizenship. Then the kind man also struck up a conversation with Suk-hwan because it was a long journey. But very soon, he regretted starting up the conversation. There was also a reporter who feared flying, so he took a whole bottle of sleeping pills so that when the operation started, he looked like a dead person. The hijackers had to drag him themselves. Among the passengers, There was a woman so suspicious that the leader immediately suspected she was their target. However, after tearing down her mask, he realizes he has the wrong person. Unexpectedly, one of the hijackers recognized her as one of the hottest South Korean actresses. It turned out she only wanted a peaceful trip, so she covered up her face like that. On this, Miang did not know what to do with the guy. She had knocked him down, and then a familiar voice called out Magnolia, which caused Miang to stand there in shock. It turned out that Miang was the top-secret agent those hijackers were looking for. 10 years ago, after learning that the mission she was sent on was a trap to kill her, Magnolia fled to South Korea, went under the knife to change her face, and then got married and lived a peaceful life with her family. She did not expect that on their first family trip they would encounter a situation like this. Miang quietly retreated to the other side of the plane. However, this oblivious male attendant kept rolling his eyes up and down so that Miang had to deal with a hijacker before the stupid man blew her cover. At that same time, Sukwon sneaks to the different side of the plane unnoticed. After he couldn't find his wife, he saw a laptop and got an idea. He entered the control room and managed to access the plane, including all the cameras, on one laptop with his computer skills. By this time Miang has successfully disguised herself as a flight attendant. Mr. Jung wanted to help, so he said he would fetch some tools for backup. Before leaving, he gave Miang a walkie-talkie wristwatch, and then he also received his first lesson from Miang on how to defend himself. Then the two set off. Miang began taking the hijackers down one by one. To prevent Nari from recognizing her, Miang quickly finds a hat to cover her face and then forth vicariously with a hijacker holding the passengers hostage while preventing her daughter from noticing her. Mr. Jung also came across Sukwon. After confirming he was on their side, Mr. Jung informed Miang, who was looking for another target, about the new member. Thus, the husband and wife unknowingly formed a team to save the plane. However, Sukwon was soon discovered by the leader. At the same time Miang was having a hard time facing one of the attackers. The two were no match for each other. Miang gains the upper hand and knocks him out. In that moment, Miang faces another problem. Li Chong, her former colleague, brought her husband to force her to cooperate. Then Li Chong also dropped the bombshell. Sukwon was also a member of the National Intelligence Service. Just like that, the husband and wife were captured and tied with ropes. Nari sees her parents and begins shedding tears. The kind man once again tried to cheer her up with a teddy bear. Li Chong saw this and questioned where her mum was. Miang had already signaled her to stay put, so the clever girl lied and said the lady behind her was her mother. Unexpectedly, the lady was none other than the actress. She immediately denied it, but Nari put on a convincing act, making everyone believe she was her mother. The lady also no longer denied it, which almost caused her director a heart attack. Miang and Sukwon also had a heartfelt conversation. At that time Miang was selling meat on the street. Sukwon was only filling in for his colleague. But Miang was the one that saved him when the bad guys troubled him. That was when he knew he had met his better half, so he gave up NES to marry Miang. Then the two forgive themselves and embrace each other. Then this jacker, who was tied up by Mr. Jung, was touched, so he cried out. After capturing Magnolia, Li Chong called off the operation, but surprisingly, the other partner betrayed him. He had been cooperating because he had a sinister plan all along to sell Magnolia to a different party who wants her dead. Li Chong was also captured and thrown in the same cabin with Miang and Sukwon. Then the new leader asked the captain to descend the plane, which caused all three to be packed against the wall. Seeing this, Sukwon immediately warns Li Chong to not touch his wife. Miang finally got the chance to ask why he was coming after her. The reason was that the North Korean government needed her iris to protect the sealed nuclear plan made by Miang's father from falling into bad hands. Li Chong was also curious to know why she shot him 10 years ago. Miang said at that time she couldn't trust anyone, so she did that to escape. While the two were busy reconciling, Mr. Jung entered through the ventilator. Thus, the survival team came back to get her, this time with Li Chong on their side. Sukwon and Mr. Jung quickly went down into operation and took down all the lights in the plane, while Miang, together with Li Chong, took down the bad guys one after the other. The passengers also joined hands and beat those bad guys to their heart's content. At that moment the scene in the plane was so chaotic. Nobody thought that this kind man could be more dangerous. He took Li Chong down with one shot and then held Nari hostage to force Miang into cooperating with him. Sukwon tried to save his family with a taser and got shot after the taser failed to work. Seeing this, Miang calmly agreed to go with the man. However, when the plane door blows off, Miang refuses to let go, and then with the help of Nari, Miang manages to kick the man together with the teddy bear out of the plane. It turned out that Miang had guessed that the teddy bear contained a bomb, so she pretended to cooperate with the man and lured the man out of the plane. Miang also found out her husband was wearing a protective jacket beneath, so the bullet only created a hole in the shirt. But Sukwon was so scared that he fainted. After the situation subsides, Lee Chong says a final goodbye to his former friend. In the final scene, the family happily went on vacation to Hawaii. Alright guys, it's been a wonderful journey. Thank you for staying with me, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this.